it is time to start with the second meal of this weekend. And this time we are going to be making some pork chops, some blue cheese crusted pork chops. So I am needing to provide olive oil, the salt, this pepper, a cookie sheet sprayed with ham, a mixing bowl, and a frying pan. And they provide the pork chops, the blue cheese, the tomatoes, the green onions, the butter, the green beans. Yes, I'm going to be cutting them up again. And slivered almonds. So my first task is to prepare all my ingredients, clean them off, make sure that, like the green beans, that, there's nothing funky looking back at me when I look at them. And then we will start with the cutting and dicing and chopping and boop, 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 sort of. All right, first thing I need to do is cut my tomatoes in half. Now, looking at the picture, half could be this or half could be this. And looking at the picture, it looks like it is half lengthwise. They don't say. They kind of rely on you looking at the picture and making an educated guess. So I am cutting my tomatoes in half. Half of them, I'm kind of tempted to do some of them this way, half and half, some of them the other way, just because I'm feeling in a weird mood. And I seem to do that a lot, don't I? But I'm going to play it straight and just cut them in half this way. So we're cutting our little cherry tomatoes. My dad asked me the other day, did they tell you to cut them in quarters? I went, yeah, they did. So I'm cutting my tomatoes. I think I need to sharpen my knife here because it's being kind of odd. And that's not good. I'm wondering how my little mandolin would work on the slicing of my onions. I may test it out, but this time I will wear my gloves so that I don't kill myself. My thumb is finally healing, so yay for me! All right, so put my tomatoes in a little bowl for later on. And now I am going to give a try to my mandolin and see how it does. This should be really exciting. So ooh, cool. It's working. All right. Yes. See? I don't know if you can see. See? I have thinly sliced little onions, much thinner than I could by hand. I am so happy. Okay, I know. I get happy about weird things, okay? Don't judge. And I think I'm going to have to cut the rest of that by hand because it's starting to fall apart on me. But I can cut this one. Yes. And life is good. And my onions are being bizarre. So this goes much faster doing it this way. I must admit, I am delighted. I didn't know if it would really work. Aha! I has onions. Come off with our onions. Oh, I am so thrilled. Like I said, don't judge. See how nice and thin they are? I am so excited about this because that just cut it a whole lot better than I could have ever. And now I'll cut up the green part for the garnishment. And we will be good to go. Yay! So now I'm cutting up the green part to use for garnishment. Because this makes a good garnish, you know? And they're not as easy to cut up as, say, chives. Because, well, I don't know. Have I ever tried using my mincer scissors on them? I know. We must test this out. It smushed them. Okay, there are some things that just have to be done by hand. And apparently, this is one of them. So, here we go. Cutting up the... Anyway, so there we go. Now, I think this here is closer to the other stuff. So, I will cut it up and add it to my other onion. See, therein is my problem. Because they're kind of the whitish, but they're also kind of a greenish. You know, how do you know? How do you really know what qualifies? Inquiring minds would like to know. Anyway, now I have cut those up. And I am ready to move on to the next thing. The green beans. Yes. We are all so thrilled about the whole green bean thing. I like green beans, don't get me wrong. But, you know, there comes a point sometimes in one's life when you go, do I really want another green bean? I mean, they're very good for you. But, you know, one could kind of start to go, these green beans and I are just not being happy together. I mean, what happened to corn? I mean, or carrots, or broccoli, or cauliflower. All of those are good too. But I get lots and lots of green beans in these meals. So I should get better at cooking them. This one, I'm again going to have to get inventive because the way they suggest cooking it is probably going to result in it being too crispy. So I'm going to have to like cook it a little bit more so it's softer or tender, I believe it's the word. So cut the little ends off of these beans. I know. When I was little and I'd help my grandmother snap beans, she didn't cut the ends off. She just kind of snapped them. Personally, I'm not quite sure what would happen if I tried to snap these guys. I suspect that they might, you know, bust all apart. And so I'm not going to test out my theory. Well, let me see. See? It just bends. Boing, boing, boing. Okay, enough playing with the bean. Anyway, so cutting seems to be the best thing to do with the beans. I wonder how my grandmother actually managed to snap the beans. Maybe she had different beans. I know she would pop the peas out of their pod, which was, if you've ever eaten peas right out of the garden, Oh my word, those things are wonderful. I love them. But I haven't had really good, peas like that. Most of the time they're in a can or frozen, or, it's sad. It's very sad. So anyway, I'll get back to you when I'm done with these beans. All right, so all the green beans have been cut. They don't look like that many. And now I have my ends that I must throw away. I would like to get a garbage disposal so that I'm not having to throw these little suckers in the trash and then empty the trash later so that bugs don't get them. But that's a whole nother problem. All right, so now I am combining. You notice I changed my mixing bowl because I didn't really feel like I needed that big of a mixing bowl. So now I am combining my blue cheese. Yay, get off of there. Yay. And I am combining it with my green onions. Get out of there, green onions. Come on, alley, oh, come free. All right. And a pinch of salt. And a pinch of pepper. And then I mix them together. So this is actually going to go on the top of my pork chops when they go into the oven, and it's going to become the crust. Pretty cool, huh? My next thing is to open my pork chops and salt and pepper them. And normally my instructions go put 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, but for some reason today we're being a little bit saltier with our pork chops. I'm going to go for half. Get this pork chop out of this bag. Come out of there. All right, there we go. 101. All right, so there's my pork chops. And they're actual pork chops. They got their little bone in them, which is always kind of cool. So now I am going to put half a teaspoon of salt on this side and then half a teaspoon of salt on the other side. Salt, 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 salt. Salt, 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 salt. And we are salting. I wonder if that's called the salt of the earth. All right, now my friend Daphne pointed out that when I turn my meat over on wet stuff, I wash off the seasoning I just put on, and that this was not a good thing to do. So I am putting an extra layer underneath it so that I don't wash off my salt and pepper. One thing about my thumb, I now know exactly who watches my things and my cooking show and who doesn't. Because people who say, "What happened to your thumb?" I know they didn't watch. Because anybody who watched it knew. Daphne kind of divined it upon seeing my thumb bandage. She went, "You cut your thumb, didn't you?" And I went, "Yeah." And she's like, "I'm done with you, Roz." Which is pretty much what she always is. Okay, so now we are going to move. All right, so I am now heating some olive oil, which I am going to sear my pork chops with. So let the pan get nice and hot while I go collect my pork chops over here. Chop, 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 chop. My oven is up to 375, so as soon as I'm done with this, I can put them on the sheet, put my crust on the top of them, and stick them in the oven. So I just gotta wait for it to get hot. So that song gets stuck in your head, and I apologize for what I just did. All right, so the pan is now hot, and put these little suckers in here and cook them for about 3 minutes per side. 2 to 3 minutes, you know. And then I will wipe the pan clean and reserve it. So, in the meantime, I am pouring the wine for the night. Now, let me get down here. Anyway, according to my dad, the reason you have white wine with like fish and chicken is because fish and chicken are a milder flavor, sometimes depending on what you cook them in. You know, seafood and chicken, they're a lighter taste. Pork and beef are a heavier one, which is why you have a red wine with pork and beef, and you have a white wine with fish, seafood and chicken or poultry. You can cook other birds besides chicken. It's just that I cook chicken most of the time. But there are people that cook partridges and guinea hens. And of course there's always turkey, so which happens to be one of my father's favorites. So one of these times I really need to make a turkey. That would be scary. Oh. All right, so now we turn them over. If I can get them cooked. There we go. There we go. Yay! Oh, this one's looking a little bit dunner than that one, so I think I need to turn my thing. And we'll go just 2 minutes on this one. We don't want to overcook them. That's one of the things you've got to remember is not to overcook. All right, so now I transfer them to my pan over here. Turn my pan down to medium. Now take my onions and blue cheese, and they say press it into the pork chop a little bit to make them kind of so that it'll make a better crust, you know. All right, so now our pork chops are more or less crusted, sort of. Try not to drop the... See? Crusty pork chops. So now I will stick them in the oven for 7 to 9 minutes. So all right, there we go. Now, while it cooks, I will take care of the rest of the stuff. Wipe the pan clean and toast my almonds. My almonds were trying to escape. All right, and I don't need to use any oil on it. And they need to be cooked about, 2 to 3 minutes, they say. Well, 2 to 4 minutes, actually. But we'll go for 3. Anyway, they are toasting. They just kind of are sitting there at the moment. After they are done, then I'm going to move them to one of my little bowls, and I will start with the green beans. So, till then. All right, so now I take my little nuts, my almonds, who are looking very nice and toasty. Can't get even any more toasty than that if you went to the Bahamas. Which, by the way, the Bahamas are a very nice place to go. Love them. Alright, so now, turn back around. I put my green beans in the pan. Now, they say 1/4 of a thing of water. I'm going for 3/4 of a cup of water because, as I've said before, my dad does not like crunchy green beans. I'm also supposed to add the butter. And then I will cook these little guys for about 3 to 4 minutes. And actually, I'm going to go for 5 just because, a little bit more time means more tender green beans. Now, these have to be covered and cook for why are you not working for me? That's just what I need. All right, so in the meantime, I let them cook, and after that, I will add the tomatoes and cover them and cook them again until, they're warm through. Then I will add the toasted almonds, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and a pinch of pepper, and remove from it. And I will, serve it all up. So, it will be ready in a minute or 2. All right, so now it's cooked. Now I add the tomatoes and let them cook for a little while. Add tomatoes, and they need to cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. And then we will add the toasted almonds and the salt and the pepper. And then we are ready to put this all together. Yay! It's definitely a pretty color, don't you think? All right. This is technically done. Now, since I added extra water in order to soften it up, I'm going to dump out some of my water. Then add my toasted almonds and my salt and pepper. Stir you guys all together. And now we are ready to serve. All right, so there are our beans. Here are our chops. So now I just gotta put the chops on the plate. And I think I'm gonna use a bigger fork for this. This will work. All right. And because I don't want to waste all that good juice that just came out of my thing, I'm going to pour that over my beans because that'll add some good flavor to them. All right, and then the final thing is to garnish with a little bit of green onion. So we are garnishing it all. All right. This is what it is supposed to look like. This is what it does look like. Let us hope that it tastes good. I will get back to you. All right, so the word on this meal was very good. It would have been excellent, but the pork chops ended up being just a little tough. And I'm not sure if that was just because it was a tough cut or because I accidentally overcooked it. But in any case, it was very good. And the beans came out pretty much perfect. So tomorrow is the last meal, and it's going to be something a little bit different. So see you then.